Welcome to Science with Soul. I'm Dr. Lottie Valentine and the host of this podcast. I'm a physician, evidential psychic medium, international keynote speaker, and author of Med School After Menopause, The Journey of My Soul, an inspirational story about transformation, healing, and spirituality, available online at Amazon as well as other online platforms worldwide. The inspiration for this podcast came from my own life experiences. As I have journeyed through life, it has taught me that we're part of a greater divine web of interconnectedness. I have walked the path of illness, healing, and transformation. After two near-death experiences, I became clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient, and was guided to attend medical school at the age of 54. We will be meeting with many different types of doctors, healers, as well as spiritual leaders, educators, and other inspiring souls in this podcast. It is my hope that you will gain information and create a path to healing your own life physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and bridge the gap between science and soul. To learn more about me or to work with me spiritually for ancestral healing, medical intuitive, evidential psychic medium, or to take my 8-week-long course, Soul's Journey, Heart's Way, a course for authentic living, which will explore opening the doors to your divine potential. Available in most time zones across the world and starting March 27th, 2021. Please visit divinespiritualessence.com. To work with me as a physician, please visit drlottie.com. Welcome to Science with Soul. Today, I'm excited to introduce Angie Morris from England. Angie Morris is a spiritualist medium, tutor, and empowerment coach. She is a course organizer at the world-renowned Arthur Findlay College in England, and loves to add value to people's lives, making a positive change in the world through the outstanding professional services she offers. Angie holds many awards and is an officiant of the Spiritualists National Union. Like most mediums, she never thought she would work in this capacity and feels privileged that she's able to do so. Angie has over 25 years of experience and loves and enjoys her work for the spirit world, spiritualism, and the Spiritualists National Union. She's enthusiastic, committed, generous, very passionate, honest, professional, and works with integrity and compassion, and feels it is an honor to be part of the spiritual journey of others as she teaches, enlightens, and inspires. She has a practical approach to her teaching and believes in bringing the celebration, joy, and pleasure back into students' work. Angie not only works in the United Kingdom, but also internationally. Angie has just created and published her own soul cards and is currently writing a book. She offers bespoke one-to-one teaching, empowerment coaching, evidential consultations, spiritual assessment, Aurograph readings, and healing. If you would love to learn more about what professional services she offers, you can contact Angie through her website or email, www.angiejmorris.com and angiejmorris@me.com. So a warm welcome to you, Angie. I am so honored to have you on my podcast today.
Oh, thank you. I'm absolutely thrilled to be joining with you, and it's a pleasure for me. So thank you.
I remember the first time I went to Arthur Findlay College, which was in 2017. Angie was my first teacher, and I had my first reading with Angie, my first professional medium reading at Arthur Findlay College. And I was blown away because she brought in my mother, and it was like my mother was sitting on the chair right there, communicating, and she knew the details of my mom and the expressions even that my mom had. So it is a real honor to have you on my show today. I can't wait for you to share with the listeners what you know about mediumship. So I'm going to start by asking you, for those who don't know what a medium is, Can you explain to the listeners what a medium is and does?
Yeah, sure. I mean, a medium is somebody who can communicate with people who have passed over. We're talking about your loved ones, your friends, or people you've known, your work colleagues, etc. And we are able to raise our awareness, our vibration, our energy to meet that of those in the spirit world. And we are able to communicate through the energy that they bring to us. So we may see things in our minds, for instance. We can see objectively as well as subjectively. So a medium could see somebody as we see each other. So we also hear voices, some of us do. So we might hear the voice of the loved one, or we may get impressions of the tone of their voice. And we use what we call our clairsentience as well, which is our feeling faculty. So we feel into their wonderful presence and energy to feel the information as well. So we can use a combination of 3 wonderful faculties as well. And, we're all born with this ability. That's the amazing thing of it. We forget when we're children, we're so aware. And as we grow older and we're told not to use our imagination so much and, be aware of what we're being taught in schools, we tend to lose that ability. And for some of us, we come back to that when we become more mature into adulthood, etc. But most people would understand if I say, oh, you use your sixth sense, you have an awareness, you just have a knowing sometimes things are going to happen. And in that way, you're using your mediumship. So it's a beautiful ability. I don't like to see it as a gift personally, because I think a gift is something very special and unique. And I believe that we all have the ability, just at different levels, different degrees.
I was going to ask you that. Do you think anybody can become a medium?
Well, absolutely, I do, because mediumship is not all about communicating with those that have passed over. Your mediumship ability can also use what we call our psychic faculty. So we could tune into somebody physically living and tap into their energy. So you can use it in that way. You've got healing, which is a beautiful, beautiful ability there. So you're helping with healing energies, etc. Some people use their inspiration, the power of inspiration, through philosophy or creativity, and through art, etc. So it's a broad spectrum, really.
So a question that I often get is, what is the difference between a psychic and a medium?
Okay, so both have their place in the world. I totally 100% get that. And so a psychic, for instance, a psychic is someone who is able to tune into the energy of someone physically living here, because we all have our own energy field. And I see that as our personal database. And, that contains everything there is, has been, and possibilities of what there could be for us. And what we do when we're working with our psychic faculty, we're blending our energy with somebody else's energy who is still physically here, and we're tapping into areas of their life. Some psychics will only work on that level. And we can gain information. So if mum is in the spirit world, we could tap in to that, because mum would be a memory in our database, if you want. But it doesn't mean that they attune to someone from spirit. So it doesn't mean necessarily they raise their vibration, their energy to meet someone from the spirit world. As mediums can work on both levels, so both on the psychic level, but also, with your loved ones in the spirit world. And a medium would know which level they're getting the information from as well.
So there is a bit more of like a fine tuning between the different energies.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what typically happens if somebody comes to you and they would like to have a reading? Let's say their mom passed away recently, and is she okay on the other side? And she contacts you for a reading. What typically happens in a reading, and how do you get that information, and what type of information comes through?
Yeah, sure. So once somebody has contacted me and we've established a suitable time and date for that person, we would contact each other, Zoom, telephone, or however we've decided. And I always ask somebody to start off with, you know, some people give you a false name and that's okay. I don't really mind whether they call themselves something different to what they are. But I always explain the way that I'm going to work, and generally what I tend to do to start off with, to relax the sitter, I always ask them if they've had a sitting before, and I always explain to them the way that the sitting's going to take place. And I would say to them, you know, I'm going to start off on a psychic ability to start off with, just to build the rapport up between the two of us, and then I will invite someone from the spirit world to join with us. And I would tell them that they can ask me questions if they want to. I can't guarantee we get the answers, but I will always look for people and to answer me. So if there's anything I say to them that they're not sure of or they don't understand, say no to me, because it's my job to sort that out, obviously, which is a good thing. And then I'd say to them, you know, just be open-minded, because you may want your mum, but maybe dad is in the spirit world, he comes in first and then mum comes in afterwards. I always leave a little time at the end also to make sure that we've, you know, addressed everything that perhaps, you know, they would want to talk about in that time. So when it comes to the actual contact of the loved one, normally what happens is I will describe who I see, tell the relationship, the age of the passing, how they passed. We'll look at their personality, their character, what they loved, what they enjoyed, whether they've got any scars, mannerisms, you know, their tone of voice. We'll also look at things like ongoing intelligence, to show that mum has been close to the person as well. So they will talk about what's happening in their life as well. And I always go and give a message, because I think whoever they are, they've come for a reason. So whether that's to help them in their working life or personal life, so we'd always go to a message as well, and I would, you know, look to that as well. So sometimes there's one person that comes forward, and sometimes there may be many. So sometimes they come with a coach load. So we don't necessarily get through the half an hour sitting with a coach load, but we can mention a few people. Names often come in as well. So, but yeah, and I'm very open-minded, because I just see what happens, and, you know, and I allow them to influence the information as well.
What have you learned from people when they have a reading and the person might have been abusive in their life, or they might have committed suicide? How are they on the other side? What have you learned from those experiences?
When somebody has done something wrong to someone physically still living here, they often come to say sorry. That's one of the first things that generally tends to happen, and you'll often find that a client may not wish to communicate with them, and so, but that's okay, because I normally say to them, well, I know that they've come to say sorry, you don't have to accept that, and then I'll just ask them to step back and someone else can come forward. Suicides, I've worked with several people who've took their own lives, etc., in the past, and they've always come through happy, healthy. They go to the same place in the spirit world everywhere everyone else does. You know, there's no special set area for them, you know, like a cold, dark place or anything like that. You know, some people regret, some people also explain why they done what they done, you know. And I always say to the client, generally what happens is, it doesn't matter, you know, I know the person's took their own life, but they've got themselves in such a state of mind that they felt that there was no one else there for them, even if everyone was reaching out to them. I think when someone's made their mind up to do that, I don't think anyone could persuade them any differently. But they're really healthy, they're happy in the spirit world. And, you know, even the ones that have done wrong, I think in some ways they have to address within themselves. They still go to the same place. But I feel they have to somehow address how they have been, you know, how they've acted. So there's a form of healing on both sides, not just here physically when they want to apologise, but I think that also helps them address how they were physically here as well. So yeah, but there's no special corner for naughty people and good people.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so good to know. So many people worry about, you know, what happened to their loved ones on the other side based on whatever their beliefs are in the reality that they're living on this side, on the earth plane. So I know sometimes you also do something called Aurograph. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, sure. Autographs are a really creative, artistic aspect of my work, and I love doing them. And an autograph is really an interpretation using coloured pencils or pastels, and what I tend to do is I tune into the energy and see what colours are in the person's auric field, so that personal database I spoke about. And I would put on paper, pick a colour, what I'm drawn to, and I would draw and create something which to me represents what that person's energy is talking about. And while I'm doing that, I'm also giving them a reading at the same time. Often when I do this type of work, you'll still have someone from the spirit world draw close to you as well, which is great. So you might get, you know, one of your loved ones, and sometimes it could be a helper or a guide pop in as well. So, or both. You know, you never know. So, but I do mine on black card. I've always done it like that, and you know, and I use lots of different materials as the pencils and things that I use. So, and I love that because it's just a nice way of being really creative. And the client gets not only a reading from that, of course, and this is for 30 minutes, but they also get a beautiful picture as well at the end of it. So it's good. It's really good.
I still have your picture that you made for me. It's great. You guys should all sign up for that. What led you into mediumship? Like how did you end up on this path?
Oh, that's well, to be really, really honest, and this is going to shock you and probably a few of the listeners now, I was bored.
You were bored?
I was bored. Mm-hmm. So my mum kept going on about a spiritualist church constantly, and so one particular weekend I was really bored and I took her, and that was my first introduction into spiritualism or mediumship and everything. So, but previous to all of that, when I was younger and I was about 4, one of my brothers, there's about 18 months between the two of us, and we had to be separated because he couldn't speak, but I knew exactly what he wanted. So if he wanted to drink, I knew that. My mum didn't, but I did. So I was psychically tuning into everything he wanted. So we had to be separated. So I didn't know that at the time. I used to play with imaginary friends. I had furniture move around my home when I was sleeping. So all of these things were normal, well, for me. And even at school, I was, you know, told never to pay attention more. I learned how to dodge an old-fashioned board rubber in the days when they were thrown. I was good at that in the end. So basically, all those things were normal to me, and I would hear voices from the spirit world as well. And then my mum kept going on about this church, so I went. And I remember sitting there thinking at the back, sliding down my chair thinking, don't come to me. But for some really strange reason, I really enjoyed it. And I felt like I belonged, even though I couldn't answer that question why. So I went back and another time, and they had an open day where they had a medium there and other things were going on. And there was one reading left, and my mum said, oh, you have it. And I went into this room, and this lovely old lady, who's now in the spirit world actually, gave me a sitting. And it was in the days when we had tape recorders, and I'm showing my age. And and she brought my great grandmother through, and she told me things that I'd never ever shared with anybody. So I was totally blown away. She told me I'd work at the Arthur Findlay College, and I'd never heard of this place, and I should join an awareness group, and I should join a circle. I didn't even know what any of this was. So I came away from there, and I thought, okay, so I'll sign up with the church. And so I joined these groups. The awareness group is to kind of give you an awareness of your psychic faculty for a few weeks, and then you're working with your mediumship, and everyone else could see colours in the aura, and I couldn't do any of it. And then we come to the following week, and we were working with our mediumship, and I just sat down and I thought, well, you know what, I've just got to be open and see what happens. And a little girl came to me, and I described her, and I could have fallen off the chair when this woman who sat next to me said, that's my daughter. And she had fallen down these concrete stairs in a block of flats in London. And I've still got images of her so clearly in my mind, because she was my first, what I call, proper contact. And it just, I don't know, I was just blown away by it, really, because I didn't think I could do it. And so I carried on, and I joined a circle, and we practiced as we did. And I really loved doing the work of it all. And I enjoyed the sense of, how can I put, I trusted the spirit world more than I trusted physical people around me. So, because I was so shy, believe it or not, and now you can't get me to be quiet, but I was a very nervous, a very shy young person at the time. And within a couple of months, the circle leader couldn't make it, and so they asked me to run the circle. So that was the start of me becoming the medium. And in fact, everything that I've done from that time, whether it be to go and support another medium while they worked and got dragged to the front and told I was doing messages and things like that, I never expected any of that. And if someone had said to me, you'll be on that platform, you'll be on that stage, I would have laughed and legged it, ran away totally, because I just wouldn't want that, so that's how I kind of got into all of that. So, and
then how did you get into the Spiritualist National Union and get the training through them?
Yeah, because I had gone to the college and done lots of courses there. I really enjoyed that. And I had done a weekend with a lady called Minister Linda Muir at the time. And it was to do with teaching, funny enough. And because I was doing the awareness, well, there's a circle, I thought, I need new skills, I need to structure this. So I went along to that, which I found really great. And she was getting us to fill in all these forms for different things. And I didn't know that I'd applied for the teacher training course at that time. That's how naive I was. So couple of years later, somebody said to me, we've got your forms here, Angie, and are you and I said, no, shelve them, don't throw them away, I'm not ready yet, 10 years. And then the committee all changed, and I got a phone call out of the blue saying it was somebody from teacher training, and we've got your forms here. And I just presumed that they were filtering through to see who didn't want to do it anymore, so they could, shred that form. And they said to me, so, we've got this coming up in November, and are you free? And I said, yes. Are you still interested? Was the first question. I said, yes, of course I am, thinking that, they're going to throw my form away. And then they said, are you free on this date? And I said, yes. And can you do a group session and a lecture? And we'd like you to demonstrate. And I said, okay. And I put the phone down, and I thought, what have I agreed to? And I was really shocked. I thought, oh my God, I've just agreed to go to the Arthur Findlay College for a whole week as a trainee tutor. So that's how I started. And you go through this 3-year process, and then you get invited on courses and being assessed for another year. and I got through that. And so that's basically how I started that journey. And I'd done some awards before I started being a tutor. But previous to that, I happened to be at the college on a course, and somebody, the president of the Spiritualist National Union at the time, invited me, came over and said, Angie, what do you do Tuesdays? And I thought, well, I work full time. I said, why? He said, well, we'd love you to come and be the resident medium at the Arthur Findlay College and, you know, do sittings for people from outside the college. Would you be interested? So I said, yes. And I gave up a really well-paid job. I used to work for somewhere called Victim Support at the time. And I just gave that up and started working there Tuesdays. And I was practicing doing sittings at home and other things with my husband's, had his own business. So I used to pull his staff out at lunchtimes and practice on them. They loved it though, they really did. And that was how I really kind of got more involved in the college and things like that. So, and I'd done that job for about 16 years on Tuesdays. So
wow.
Yeah. So yeah, so that was basically how I became a tutor there. So yeah, that seems like a long time ago now. And even sometimes you have to pinch yourself because you know, when you go to that building, when I first went there, it seems such a massive, huge building. And then when you get used to it, you realise how small it actually is, but it's not. It is very large, large as you know, but it just seems small to us. So I suppose it's what you're used to. But
right.
yeah, I'm very privileged to work there. So.
So what do the spirits do? I often get the question, what do the spirits do in the spirit world? Are they practicing or learning new skills for reincarnating in another life, or are they just kind of hanging out? Do you have any concept of what they're doing as they're up there?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't have all the answers for everything. And I think even when it's my time to go, I don't think we'll get all the answers we want straight away. But what I do believe, and this is just my belief, so what I do believe is that when we pass from this physical existence, if we were someone who loved being in nature and, you know, gardening and all those types of things, then that's what our spirit world will look like. That's what we will create. And I think if there were opportunities that we wished we'd achieve when we were here, like playing an instrument or learning some form of knowledge, I think all those opportunities are there for us if we choose to. So we can either have the choice of sitting there with a margarita on the beach, I believe. We can join what they call the halls of learning, which I believe is like massive libraries with lots of knowledge and everything else. I believe some people help others that pass over, maybe through tragedy or very young. So I believe that also when we get there, it's not so easy to communicate back because you know, when we're physically here, we're having to learn how to raise our vibration to become much more lighter with our energy. And when you go to the spirit world, you've got to lower your vibration of your energy to communicate here. So I think maybe when we get there, there's a new learning of learning not to be a medium, but learning how to communicate with a medium. So maybe. But I think it is whatever you expect it to be, whatever you would enjoy, whatever you would love. And I know that you can go and talk to people that you would have known when you were physically here. And I do know also that when we pass from this physical existence, because this is just like the playground, if you like, you know, and we're enclosed in within this physical body. And I think when we pass over, there's all our loved ones and friends, and they're celebrating. Here we're missing and mourning, but that side of life are celebrating because we've gone back home. And your pets go to the spirit world. So if you know you had a dog or cat or budgie or horse, whatever it is, to me, you know, you can be reunited, which is a wonderful thing. So, and for me, I think it gives people hope, that, hope that, that they're not on their own when they go there. So, and that they've got other people looking after them, and but hope that you will see that person again. If there's that love bond, you will see that person again. So, and I think that's a beautiful thing. So, really is.
I love it. There are people that sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I feel like my father was visiting me," or when I'm driving to work, I feel like my dad is in the car, or something like that. What advice do you have to these people? Are they really tuning in, or are they imagining it? Because that's the question that I often get. Maybe I was just imagining it, or maybe I just thought so, but maybe the spirit was there. What advice do you have?
Well, I say to them, believe it. Absolutely believe it, because where would suddenly you think of them from all of a sudden? Okay, you could pass your dad's old workplace, so that might trigger something in your mind, fair enough. But generally, when we feel like someone's with us, or we suddenly get an image of them in our mind's eye, it's because they're with us, and they are just trying to show you how close they are. They're not up there or down there, or to the left of us, the right of us. The spirit world, to me, penetrates this world. So they're still with us, even if we cannot physically see them anymore. And to me, if they loved you and cared for you, obviously they're just trying to show you they're okay. And if they supported you when they were physically here, of course they'd still want to support you when they passed away, wouldn't you? I mean, I know I would. So I would say to them, believe it. People have dreams, and sometimes they dream that, they've met up with somebody and it felt so real, and I think it is real. I really believe that. Yep, I do. And I think it's great that, even sometimes when we're going through tough times and we can feel very much on our own, even though we may have people around us, that they will step in and they will support you to say, look, you're never on your own, never, ever on your own. We are always here to help. So believe it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a matter of tuning in and then accepting that we are, experiencing them in some shape or form.
Yeah.
What advice do you, let's say somebody, one of the listeners says, wow, so it's true, it is my dad that's showing up, and when I'm cooking in the kitchen or driving my car, and this happens a lot. How can they improve their ability just at home without taking a class? How do they fine-tune that?
Just accept that they've come, and then start talking to them. So you can either talk to them out aloud, if you feel confident doing that, or in your mind, say, hi, Dad, how are you? You might get an impression, a feeling. Some people even, like you said, they're sitting in their car and then they get an image of Dad, and then maybe Dad smoked a pipe or a certain type of tobacco, and they're getting that waft of smell, throughout their car or wherever they are. That's you're picking up all these things because they're really trying to show you very, very closely that they're with you. So I would acknowledge that they're there. So whether you do this verbally or in your mind, do that, because I think then you're encouraging them. But nobody would come to you if they felt they were frightening you. So even if you feel not sure or uncertain, just say, look, Dad, I know it's you, but I can't deal with this at the moment. Come back another time. So, because we are in control of this, believe it or not. So, we're in control of when we open ourselves up, and some people will go into a supermarket and find that they're picking up on everyone's vibration of how they're feeling. Or you walk into your office, okay, I know with what's going on, maybe we don't do that so much, but most of us have had some form of awareness where we've met someone for the first time, we haven't spoke to them yet, and we just feel, not sure about them, feel a bit prickly, because your energy has gone out and touched theirs, and there's something there that's telling you not sure. Or your phone rings, but before you look at the actual call that it's going to be your best friend, or you know you're on the same wavelength with someone. It's because you're tuning in constantly. So, but yeah, if you want to be more aware, just send your thoughts out to them, and just, you know, imagine them standing to the side or sitting in your car, and think about, you know, what would you like to say to them, you know, and just be still, be quiet, and see if you can get any response from them. Ask them something. I'm sure they'd be obliged to answer as much. Don't ask for the lottery numbers though. But you know, use your common sense. You know, I mean, if we could all get the lottery numbers, we'd all be millionaires, wouldn't we? So
Right.
absolutely.
They're not going to let you cheat for sure.
No.
Right. When I went through med school, I would say, "Oh, can you please show me the test for tomorrow?" It never worked. Give me a
No.
hint. What's going to be on the test? But they're not gonna do things like that, because that's your journey to learn and to live our life. But it was fun to try. Didn't work very well. So I wasn't supposed to know that. I had to actually sit down and learn it. I know that you teach a lot of different classes online, and you have one class coming up, the soul card one, and I'm actually signed up for it as well. I'm really looking forward to that class. But can you tell the listeners about all the different classes and things that you offer?
Sure, yeah. So there's the soul card one coming up in, I think that's March, going into April, because it's over several weeks.
And
So,
that's on American time, in an American time
yeah,
zone.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We try to do it at that sort of time so everyone can join in as best as possible. And those classes are also recorded. So if you can't make one of the dates, you've got the full recording of it. I also offer different types. So the soul card one, going back to that, it's from kind of start to beginning to getting them to produced almost your soul cards. So we'll talk about how we create them, or you can call them tarot cards if you want, or inspirational cards. So we go through the whole thing of, you know, creating them, down to the wording, to the imagery and all of that, and where to get them published, and etc., and how to sell them. But I do other classes as well. So I've got one coming up to do with your psychic faculty, which I'm doing on behalf of the Arthur Findlay College. So that's a 3-day event. I've got one on Aurographs coming up in, oh gosh, I think that one's April, and another one called Magnificent Me, which is all about empowerment and souls. But that's all on my website as well. So I have links to all of that. So that's what I've got coming up in the next few months. And with the soul card one, that's through Eventbrite, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also on my website too. So I'm doing lots of things, and I try not to advertise too much in one go. So we do like 4-month chunk, and we'll go on to the next one. So it's not like, oh gosh, where do I pick? Where do I start? So, and I'm also doing another trance one with the college as well, which is another 3-day event as well. So that's in April as well. So but if you want to book something with me, and you want to practice your mediumship, etc., you know, just email me, because I do offer lots of different types of one-to-one sessions if you're interested in that as well. So but it's great, because some people may just come to me and say, oh, I'm having a problem with this at the moment with their mediumship, and we try to do a session just to alleviate that, and then off they go, and I might not hear from them for a couple of years, or they may come back to me. So, but I really enjoy trying to help people sort of move forward when they feel that they've maybe had somebody who was not so positive with some of the stuff that they may have heard. And I think it's great to empower people through the work that we do. So I think that's really important, and I try to do that every time, you know, whether it's a sitting or autograph or teaching or a healing session or an empowerment coaching session. So that's good. I love my work, I really do. I cannot see myself ever doing anything totally different. I've got some great ideas I'm toying with at the moment. I'd love to set up my own radio station and have nothing but absolute positive news on there. So it's a crazy idea, but I think it'll be a very good idea. So even if it's once a week, or I don't know. So I'm thinking about contacting local radio stations at the moment, just to see if we can have 10 minutes once a week.
Right. That's a great idea. What the world is in dying need of, having some positive news, because as we know, the news are just sensational, and it's all about, you know, scaring you. And
absolutely, and that sells. See, that's the trouble. So I'd love to, you know, maybe one day I will have enough funds. Okay, so I've put it out there in the universe where we could set up something like that, and maybe it won't be necessarily radio, but it will be through some other media, some form where we can do that. I would love to do that, actually. So nothing but really good positive news, and, you know, play some upbeat music, and you know, have a quote for the day, or, you know, things like that. And I think for a lot of people it would be really, really helpful. So yeah, no,
it sounds like a wonderful idea. It's what everybody would love to hear right now. So your classes are actually on a really good time, at least some of them. I know the one I signed up for, I think, is 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Which actually works for United States, Canada, Europe, New Zealand, and Australia, because they're about 16 or 18 hours ahead of, I think, the Pacific time zone. So everybody go check out her website. It is also listed in the podcast notes. It's angiejmorris.com, and her email again is angiejmorris@me.com. And if you go to the website, you can see all the different classes that she's going to be teaching, and there are links to Arthur Findlay College from your website, so they don't have to go to that website separately, which can be overwhelming at times. So it's easier to go to Angie's website and then click in if it's a college class. So I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today, Angie. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you share all your experiences with the listeners.
Oh, thank you. And it's been a privilege for me. So, and it's lovely to be able to speak to you after, you know, not being together for a few years at the college. So, and that. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Dr. Lottie Science with Soul. Make sure you are subscribed so you will be notified of new episodes as they become available. To learn more about me or to work with me spiritually for ancestral healing, medical intuitive, evidential psychic medium, or to take my 8-week-long course, Soul's Journey, Heart's Way, a course for authentic living, which will explore opening the doors to your divine potential, available in most time zones across the world and starting March 27th, 2021. Please visit divinespiritualessence.com. To work with me as a physician, please visit drlottie.com. My book, Med School After Menopause, The Journey of My Soul, an inspirational story about transformation, healing, and spirituality, is available online at Amazon as well as other online platforms worldwide.